Hello and welcome to today's video, where we will be discussing an interesting trend in the global economy. The 5 emerging economies known as BRICS, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have been buying up large amounts of gold. In fact, they have been the biggest purchasers of gold in the world over the past few years. So, what's behind this trend and what are the implications for the global economy? Let's find out. So, why are the BRICS nations buying so much gold? There are several reasons for this trend. Firstly, gold is seen as a safe haven asset that can protect countries from economic and political instability. In times of uncertainty, such as during the global financial crisis of 2008, gold prices tend to rise as investors seek safe places to store their money. Secondly, gold is a valuable commodity that can be used as a reserve asset. Central banks in the BRICS countries have been diversifying their foreign exchange reserves, and gold is seen as a good alternative to the US dollar, which has been the dominant global currency for many years. Thirdly, gold is a way for BRICS countries to reduce their reliance on the US dollar. As the US dollar continues to face challenges, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, countries are looking for alternatives to the dollar as a reserve currency. By buying gold, the BRICS countries are diversifying their reserves and reducing their exposure to the dollar. Now let's take a look at how much gold each individual BRICS nation is buying. China has been the biggest buyer of gold among the BRICS nations, with its central bank adding over 400 tons of gold to its reserves since 2016. China now holds over 1,000 tons of gold, making it the 5th largest holder of gold in the world. Russia has also been a major buyer of gold, adding over 300 tons of gold to its reserves in the past few years. Russia now holds over 2,000 tons of gold, making it the 3rd largest holder of gold in the world. India has been increasing its gold reserves as well, with its central bank adding over 200 tons of gold to its reserves since 2018. India now holds over 700 tons of gold. Brazil has been relatively modest in its gold buying, with its central bank adding just over 60 tons of gold to its reserves since 2018. Brazil now holds just over 100 tons of gold. South Africa has also been modest in its gold buying, with its central bank adding just over 30 tons of gold to its reserves since 2017. South Africa now holds just over 125 tons of gold. So, what are the potential strategies for the individual BRICS nations in buying gold? Let's take a closer look. China's strategy is likely focused on reducing its reliance on the US dollar as a reserve currency. China holds the largest foreign exchange reserves in the world, and by diversifying its reserves into gold, it can reduce its exposure to the dollar. Additionally, as China seeks to increase its influence on the global stage, having a large gold reserve can help it to assert its economic power. Russia's strategy is also likely focused on reducing its reliance on the US dollar. Russia has been facing sanctions from the US and its allies in recent years, and by diversifying its reserves into gold, it can reduce its exposure to the US dollar and strengthen its position in the global economy. India's strategy is likely focused on hedging against inflation and currency fluctuations. India is facing challenges with its currency, the rupee, and by holding gold, it can provide a cushion against currency volatility. Additionally, India has a long-standing cultural and historical affinity for gold, and owning gold is seen as a sign of wealth and prosperity in the country. Brazil's strategy is likely focused on diversifying its foreign exchange reserves. Brazil has faced economic challenges in recent years, including a recession and high inflation, and by holding gold, it can provide a stable asset in its reserves. South Africa's strategy is also likely focused on diversifying its reserves, as well as hedging against inflation. Additionally, South Africa is one of the world's largest gold producers, and holding gold can support the country's domestic mining industry. So, how are the United States and European Union likely to respond to the BRICS nations' gold purchases? Well, it's important to note that gold is a global commodity and countries have the right to buy and sell it as they please. However, the US and EU may see the trend as a challenge to their dominance in the global economy, particularly as the BRICS nations seek to reduce their reliance on the US dollar. One potential response could be for the US and EU to try to maintain their dominance in the global economy by promoting alternative reserve currencies, such as the euro or the Chinese yuan. However, this would require significant coordination and cooperation among these countries, which may be difficult to achieve. Another potential response could be for the US and EU to try to manipulate the price of gold in order to discourage the BRICS nations from buying it. This could involve selling large amounts of gold reserves or using other market interventions to bring down the price of gold. Finally, let's take a look at the potential economic implications of the BRICS nations' gold purchases. One potential implication is that the trend could support higher gold prices, particularly as demand for gold increases and global supply remains relatively constrained. Another potential implication is that the BRICS nations' gold purchases could weaken the US dollar and promote the use of alternative reserve currencies. This could have far-reaching implications for the global economy, particularly if the US dollar loses its status as the dominant reserve currency. Additionally, the BRICS nations' gold purchases could have implications for the mining industry, particularly in South Africa, which is one of the world's largest gold producers. As demand for gold increases, mining companies may be able to benefit from higher prices and increased production. In conclusion, the BRICS nations have been buying up large amounts of gold for several reasons, including hedging against economic and political instability, diversifying their reserves, and reducing their reliance on the US dollar. China and Russia have been the biggest buyers of gold among the BRICS nations, while India, Brazil, and South Africa have been more modest in their gold purchases. Each country has its own strategies for buying gold, with a focus on reducing risk, strengthening their positions in the global economy, and supporting their domestic industries. The United States and European Union are likely to respond to the trend by promoting alternative reserve currencies or potentially manipulating the price of gold. However, the implications of the BRICS nations' gold purchases are far-reaching and could have significant impacts on the global economy in the years to come. Thank you for watching, and please leave any comments or questions below. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and click the reminder bell so you're notified of future content.